Sam Horsell. I am the Year 11 leader. I'm new to Marrickville High School, so a lot of you would not have met me, but I've certainly enjoyed having all your kids back on site this week and starting to build those relationships, which is going to best enable me to support them throughout their schooling journey at Marrickville this year and beyond. A little bit about myself. I've come from Charles Campbell College, where I was the Year 10 to 12 coordinator there. And prior to that, I was at Parafield Gardens High School, where I was working in some similar roles there, 10, 11, 12 coordinator, as well as a part of the international program. So I bring a bit of experience to the role, and I'm certainly looking to value add to the Marrickville community, whose reputation certainly precedes itself. So a couple of housekeeping things throughout this session. If you've got any questions throughout, please feel free to type them into the chat. Nathan is behind the desk here, and he'll certainly endeavour to answer those questions as we go through. But if there are some that he can't answer, I'll certainly do my best to answer them towards the end. I've got a presentation I'd like to run through now, and we're going to switch over to that. And we've got our acknowledgement of country to start.
Nainari Zoe Warayupani.
Nainari Alona Katanya Flockhart.
Namani. Mani Nadu Tampandi. Gana Miana. Yaicha Matanya Wamatadanyuku. Nadu Tampandi. Gana Pukiana Miana. Puki Puki Nangu. Gana Balgana Yalaka Ta Kariarakuma. Yalaka Nadlukana Yatanga Imporindi. Gana Miana. Yaicha Matanya Wamatadanyuku.
It's good that we recognise that the Kaurna people are the Indigenous custodians of the Adelaide Plains. We acknowledge Kaurna elders both past, present and future, and that we're meeting on Kaurna land today.
We're now going to jump straight into our Principal's address with Principal John Tibber.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the 2022 information meeting. A special welcome to parents new to our school community. If you thought last year was a hectic one, I anticipate 2022 will have significant known and unknown challenges. The outstanding way we rose to the many challenges of last year has prepared us well for the exciting year ahead. So what does it mean to be a member of our school community? It's based on respect, trust, optimism, commitment to the support that's needed for your child to excel and achieve their goals. What does it mean to be a Marrickville High student hasn't changed. We expect that they do their best, live by the school values, seek support when needed, and offer it when required, set goals that they strive to achieve, and add value to our school community. I'd like to congratulate last year's Year 12 students for their outstanding results that they achieved, and also the staff and faculties who worked hard to support their students. It is important to have a culture of striving to be the best school in Australia, but more importantly, it is the focus on having everyone achieving their best. As a result of the hard work of staff, students over many years, we have an excellent reputation in South Australia as a high-performing academic school that places a priority on well-being of our students. We have a responsibility to our school community to continue to set the bar high of ourselves, our colleagues, and our students as we strive to pursue excellence in what we offer. Key to our success is the support we offer each other and also the consistent implementation of our expectations. The big priorities for this year, it's the partnership between parents and staff working together for the best outcomes of their child. Our school values, vision and framework are relatively new, and we need clear understanding so our culture and expectations are consistently implemented by all. We will continue investing in our staff to develop courses, resources and pedagogy for the implementation of the recommendations of the curriculum review. We will continue to improve our facilities and resources aligned with our master plan, and we will soon see come online the Pines building to help us accommodate extra student enrolments. It is important that we ensure that Year 7 and 8 students new to the school add value to our school culture and strive to meet our expectations. It is also important we continue the promotion of student voice and involvement in their learning and school community. Finally, thank you for the great start to the year in quite challenging circumstances. We are a united school community with a common goal, preparing your child to be a productive member of society. Thank you.
So thanks to our principal, John, just there. Some of the things that we may have missed with a few of the slides that were just after John were the values that sit behind our school. And that is that we're always looking to achieve as best we can and setting some really, really high standards. That's something that John touched on just before. And also in line with those CARA values that we've spoken about previously, and we've done a lot of work around with our students and ensuring that they buy in to the Marryatville culture. Just to touch very quickly on our 2021 SACE achievement, there are obviously some really fantastic results there that I'll run through just now. 99.59% of our students attain their SACE. We saw positive shifts in all areas of assessment and achievement, and an increase in numbers of students in both the A and B bands, as well as 36 individual subject merits and 80 A+ grades. Our Ducks got an ATAR of 99.6, and we had over a quarter of our students achieving an ATAR of 90 or more, and 50% or thereabouts achieving an ATAR of 80 or more. Those are fantastic results, and they serve as a really good benchmark for the senior school moving forward. And it's certainly something for our Year 11 students to not only aspire to emulate, but to actually go beyond and to see if they can do even better. And word has it, with this cohort, they're more than capable of doing so. Just quickly to touch on the house system that was renewed and launched in 2021. The idea behind this system was to make a big school small and to create a lot of different smaller communities within our larger and broader Marryatville community. It does add another layer of connection for our students at Marryatville, and it's about identity and inclusivity, as well as providing some authentic leadership opportunity that can flow throughout the school. All of our houses have been given traditional Kaurna names, which is fantastic, and we will continue on with the great work that was done last year and giving some students a sense of belonging to those houses. And one of the things that I think is really good is the charities that are attached to those houses and the fundraisers that can occur as part of that. There were 9 whole school house events that were conducted across last year. Over 3,500 house points were allocated over those 3 terms, and close to $6,000 were raised for those charities that I mentioned just before, which is fantastic. Again, when I spoke about the CARA values before, points could be allocated in alignment with those. There's an overall community shield champion as well as an overall house shield. As you can see, the winner there was Gagira, which is fantastic. So that's something that we're certainly looking to build on and go even further with into 2022 and into the future as well. Some house events that we've got coming up. So a house introduction lunch in term 1, as well as SRC house captain elections. We've got our Year 7-8 Splash Carnival, Sports Day obviously coming up in, I think, week 7 and week 8, Party Day in week 11, and then we've got some further events in term 2, as you can see there. So look, we've got a number of things coming up with the house system, and that ties into our leadership structure as well. As you can see there, we've got our Year 12 house captains along with our Year 11 house captains, and we've got our overall school captains, vice captains, music captains also, and then the SRC leaders that sit behind that. So we've got quite a large group of student leaders within our school. My experience so far is that these students are very, very diligent, and they are very powerful advocates on behalf of their cohort, which I think is fantastic and something that I've definitely been able to pick up in only a short period of time. So we do have a significant amount of opportunity if your child is looking to be a leader within the Marryatville community. These SRC groups actually can be divided into subgroups as well, looking at things ranging from well-being to leadership to the environment, and also improving our teaching and learning. Here we have our intermediate student leaders for 2022, so our 9 and 10 leaders. adopting a similar structure as well. Moving on, these are the different hubs that are located within the school. The hub that is of most interest to you and to your child is the Senior School Hub located in Eden Park. That's where myself and Bob Buxton are located. He is our Year 12 leader, as well as having elements of SACE underneath his role as well. Laura Hudson is our wellbeing leader, as well as Pathways and Vet, and definitely a good person for your child to come and speak to if they are encountering any wellbeing issues or just want some general advice around the pathway that they're on or the pathway that they could potentially get onto. Daniel Storer, he is a new employee at the school as a social worker, and he's certainly more than willing to help our senior school where necessary. And of course, we've got Lyndon Parry, who is our Director of Teaching and Learning. So that Senior School Hub is located over at Eden Park, as I said before. Although not all of your child's lessons may fall over there, they are definitely more than welcome to come and have a chat with myself or any member of the Senior School Hub if they need to. So the SACE. The SACE is a modern, internationally recognised secondary school qualification designed to equip your child with the skills, knowledge and personal capabilities to successfully participate in a fast-paced global society. Now, I'm not going to read the rest of that because I want to jump straight into what the SACE looks like for your student in particular. Right here is where we get a bit of a breakdown in terms of the credits that are allocated throughout the senior school journey for your child. The first compulsory component was when they did the PLP in year 10. They needed to score a C grade or better within that subject, and that's something that they're going to need to do throughout all of their compulsory subjects. For instance, at stage 1, year 11, you need to pass 1 semester of numeracy, so 1 semester of maths, and you must pass 2 semesters of an English subject as well. That is non-negotiable. That is part of SACE. That is built into it. It's at a C grade or above. They also complete the research project in year 11. That is their first real taste of a stage 2 subject. So that is a subject which will allocate credits towards their stage 2 component, which is year 12. The rest of those credits is filled up with their elective subjects. This slide here gives you a bit of a breakdown of where that all fits. If you look on the right-hand table there along the year 11 column, you can see that research skills and research project along with your maths and then your 2 English adds up to 5 semesters worth, and then you've got 7 semesters left for students to be involved within any learning area of their choice, and that is typically aligned to their pathway for year 12 and beyond, and would have formed a large part of the conversations that you had with the subject selection process last year. So I'm fairly confident that there's no new information there, but it's definitely worth reminding. I touched on the research project just before. That's the first look at your 10 stage 2 credits. In first semester, we're looking more at research skills and research practices as a way of building into the research project in second semester. There are already some key deadlines for that, which are up on the screen now. And probably some of those are worth noting along the way as well, just to ensure that your child stays on top of this very, very important compulsory subject. Another thing to remember is that it's not just the compulsory subjects that your child needs to do well in. In previous years, given the COVID landscape, universities have started to look at year 11 results as a means for entry into some of their courses. Bear that in mind moving forward. It's definitely more motivation and more impetus for students to do as best they can at year 11 if they are planning to go onto a university pathway. And that's what we'll certainly be encouraging them to do. Student life, so the program that falls within the extended home group sessions. I'll briefly run through that now and what is encompassed within that. This is the table where we've got all of our student life activities across term 1. I'm not going to run through all of those. You can see that up on the screen. I can make that available at a later date as well, but the key events throughout the year within the Student Life program are goal setting and reflections in line with student pathways, home group teachers establishing their group routines and relationships around tracking attendance, academics, etc. There are a number of wellbeing programs that are in there as well. as well as programs directed towards driver safety and planning their Year 12 and pathway beyond. So that's just a brief snapshot as to what we're doing within student life. On to student expectations. So broadly speaking, within the Marryatville community, we want our young people to have the skills and attitudes and knowledge to thrive now and in the future in what is an ever-evolving landscape. We've only got to look at the current state of things with COVID to know that things are always evolving. The term new normal is one that's thrown around a fair bit too much, if you ask myself. Our expectations are our policies and guidelines support young people to thrive within our school community. Now, I'm going to touch on what I've called the big six here. And these are, in my opinion, as a year level leader, the 6 things that will enable your student to be successful, your child to be successful, not only in year 11, but moving into year 12 and to further study also. First thing is the utilisation of their study line. Now, line 7 is the designated study line for all year 11 students. It is essential that they use this time wisely. They are welcome to stay on site and work in a quiet space as long as that is exactly what they're doing, working and studying. They're also welcome to go home if they feel like the home environment is more conducive to them getting some work done. As a school, we are happy for them to do either as long as they're doing the right thing. So using that study time effectively, managing their time effectively is going to be something that will stand them in good stead throughout the year. Attendance sounds like an obvious one, but it's definitely one that is so important in terms of year 11 and SACE and being successful. I'm not sure in the years that I've been doing this role that I've seen a student have 100% attendance and not achieve the things that they want to achieve. Fact of the matter is, if your child is here 100% of the time, then we've got quality teachers who can help them on whatever pathway they desire. So behaviour, again, a pretty obvious one, but we've got 200 plus year 7s on campus this year. It's important now more than ever that our senior school students are leading the way in demonstrating appropriate behaviours for our younger students. And as I said before, all reports I get about this current year 11 cohort is that they are just that, really, really good students and really, really good role models. So that's something that's important they continue throughout the year. Meeting key deadlines and checkpoints. So that's not just an endpoint. That's not just the final deadline of assessments. Teachers will give checkpoints throughout. They'll give draft due dates throughout. It is so important that your child is able to meet those. It gives more opportunity to get feedback, to improve and to be better. Number 5, communication with teachers. They want to hear from you. They want to be pestered. They want to be bugged. All right. At no point throughout the year, and I've said this multiple times to multiple cohorts, should a teacher be working harder for a student than what they are willing to work for themselves. So communication here is key. Keep that dialogue open. Send a DayMap message. Stay in regular contact. If you can't make a lesson, send a message to say, what have I missed? What do I need to catch up on? And the last point, number 6, is monitoring wellbeing and seeking help if needed. We've got staff on site who specialise in this space, but we can only act on what we know and what is being brought to us at times. So if your child is experiencing some wellbeing issues as a result of anything, whether it's workload, whether it's something external, whether it's relationship breakdowns, etc., we're more than willing to have that conversation with your child and to help them work through some of those issues. We just need to know that those issues are there because we want to help. So they're the big 6 things. They're the 6 things that I feel like are going to stand your child in fantastic stead moving forward if they adhere to all of them. What I'd like to do now is just touch on that study line again. This is the year 11 study line. It's in line 7. So it's Tuesday morning, it's Wednesday afternoon, it's Friday morning. The child does not have to be on site at those times, as I said before. They can, but they don't have to be. They can roll in for whatever their first lesson is or leave whenever their last lesson falls. That's fine. The only time that lesson will be filled in their timetable on DayMap is if they've been allocated to a SACE support line. They will be allocated to that if they are struggling at any point with some of their compulsory subjects only. So for instance, if your child is already allocated to a SACE support study line at those times, it indicates that they did not pass PLP last year. I won't just add them ad hoc to those lines. There will be a conversation, obviously, with the parent, with student, just to make sure everyone's aware that we want to provide your child with extra support, and this is the time where it can happen. Mr. Buxton is the person that's present at that time, and he's fantastic at working across a multitude of SACE compulsory subjects, and he will help your child be better within that area. So we've got a number of wellbeing resources for families. The wellbeing services for our senior students include Laura Hudson, who is our wellbeing leader, and as I mentioned, Daniel Storer and myself. They offer some counselling services, and they're designed to help manage relationships, support issues of concern, outsource anything that they need to outsource in relation to problems that your child might be having, to help with some career guidance, and just generally to practice mindfulness and positive mental health. So they're definitely, those people up on your screen are definitely worth having a discussion with if you're concerned about your child, or if they want to have a discussion with one of us independently, that's okay too. Just jumping from that to the uniform, I think we've started pretty well with the uniform. What you see up on your screen now is a pretty clear representation of what your child needs to be wearing at different points when they're at school, whether they're in their standard school uniform, whether in the PE uniform. I think it's pretty clear what needs to happen there. That has been sent home as well. The big items there that are worth noting is the skirt length and the short length, just making sure that they are no shorter than fingertips when standing. The shoes there need to be leather enclosed, not sort of the canvas arrangements that you get with some students. We will be very hot on this to start the year. I expect our Year 11s to drive these standards. As I mentioned before, we do have younger kids that are now on site. They need to be shown the way and what the right thing is to do, because like it or lump it, the Year 11s are role models and they need to act like that as well, which 95%, 99% do. Just in terms of attendance, if your child is going to be away for any reason whatsoever, can you please just let the school know? That makes our life a lot easier, and it makes the follow-up of our home group teachers and our subject teachers and our leaders a lot easier when we know what's going on. Those are the contact details there if you need to let anyone know that your child is going to be away. And down the bottom there, it says every day counts. I think that's a really apt comment there, particularly when you consider that Year 11's year is a little bit shorter than 10s, 9s, 8s and 7s. And when you get to Year 12, it is even shorter, which means that every day missed is doubly important. So please make sure you let us know if they're going to be away. DayMap for parents. DayMap is the first port of call for parents if they want to know what their child is up to within certain subject areas. Teachers will do their best to update DayMap regularly with all the resources they're going through and with the general lesson plan as to what they're going through on given days. If you can't access your DayMap parent portal, can you please contact the school and we will help you to access that, because it's a very, very important tool for parents and something that you should go through first before you feel the need to contact and call the school. But by all means, if there is still an issue, feel free to call and get into contact with whoever necessary. At this point, I'm finished going through that presentation, and I'm more than happy to field any questions as they come along. I'm just waiting for that question to come up on the screen. Okay, so the question here is around an individual's pathway and requiring a high ATAR to get into medicine. What can she do and expect from the school in the way of this? Well, we are always very, very supportive of our highly aspirant students. There are a number of things that teachers will be willing to do to go above and beyond.
I'm just going to avoid it.
Sure.
So do you want to answer that question again?
Sure. So the question.
Just apologise for my error.
Apologies, there's just a bit of a technical error there. The question was, we've got a student who is looking to get onto a pathway into medicine, and what can the school do in order to support this student? We are always willing to support our highly aspirant students. I think the first port of call for those students is to have a chat with their teacher about what they can do to extend themselves, as well as making sure that they've chosen the right subjects, that they're in the right subjects, and I'm assuming that they are at this point. Year 12 teachers, and sorry, Year 11 teachers as well, are very generous with their time. I'm sure you just need to communicate to see if there's anything they can do above and beyond what they are currently doing. If they can't one week, I'm sure they will be able to do it the other week. I would also be willing to have a chat with any students who want a little bit more advice on what to do with their pathway, and maybe that's something they can come over to Eden Park and speak with me about, and Mr. Buxton as well as Laura Hudson, our pathways person. Any other questions?
Yeah, we've got one from Ed who says, in regards to the research project, do students have to conduct empirical research, e.g. surveys, or is that beyond what is expected?
Look, in terms of the research project, look, it will be dependent on what their topic area is. I don't have an in-depth knowledge of the ins and outs of the research project itself. Suffice to say that there is a level of research that is required. Emma Cant is our research project person. She runs the research project. I think if you've got any specific questions regarding that, then she would be a fantastic person to direct those questions to. But as a sort of a broad statement, yes, there is research required as part of it, and you could be required to do different types of surveys throughout the year to help supplement the information that they're getting from external sources.
I've got a couple that I've answered online.
Sure.
Otherwise, that's it.
So if there aren't any more questions, I might just close this evening off. Thank you very much for those of you that have tuned in. If you do have any questions that you think of after, feel free to send me an email, send me a DayMat message. My name is Samuel Horsell. You should be able to find me within the staff directory. And I'm more than willing to have a chat if you give me a call throughout the school day. To do with anything with your child. As I mentioned at the start, I'm highly passionate about supporting senior school students, supporting them to achieve whatever goal they have. They are varied goals. Not everyone's looking to get a high ATAR. There might be different pathways, but they're all equally as important to people like myself and Bob and Laura and Daniel who work within the Senior School Hub. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to drop us a line and we'll be more than happy to answer, to meet, do whatever. Thank you very much.